Right, guys, listen up. If your club could have any manager in the world, who would you go for? Would you stick with your current gaffer, or would you take the leap and go for the unknown? In this video, we're going to be telling you who is the perfect manager for your club and why you need to get them, but I won't be talking like this for the rest of the video. And with that said, you'll probably just eat them alive, won't you? You won't give them the time, they'll draw 3 games and you go, "He's saying we don't deserve this, we deserve better than this." Well, let's try anyway, shall we? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, like button, and enjoy yourself, for God's sake. Arsenal, I've gone for Mikel Arteta. He's a new guy doing great things. Now, joking aside, I don't think much needs to change at Arsenal. I think he's the good, pure fit. Opposition fans probably won't believe that, but Arsenal fans will, and that's all that matters. Not many managers would be able to create what Arteta has done. I think he got given the time, which I think that they deserve huge plaudits for, but I think you can tell how impressive he is. I did a video with Ian Ballaghay, and I remember him saying,
people haven't got any idea how deep is the personality, the thinking, the leadership, the vision, the empathy, the knowledge that Arteta has.
And literally the next season, we've seen what we've seen. I mean, possibly Guardiola, but would you really want him when you already have Arteta? You know, it's too late for all that, and it just wouldn't happen. And I'm not sure you'd have the best Guardiola, because surely at some point he's going to burn out when it comes to that kind of intensity, and Arteta has that enthusiasm, youth, etc. So I don't think you would. Arteta's tactical style is ambitious, it's aesthetically pleasing, and it suits the players. He also has an excellent relationship with the fans, as well as being an excellent manager, I think, as well. Overall, now he's got the people that he wants in, especially when it comes to young players, which has allowed Arsenal to get where they've got to this year. But he's the boss, as we saw with Aubameyang. He is perfect for Arsenal right now. He's a sweet, sweet manager for those sweet, sweet Gunners, isn't he? Aston Villa. Unai Emery. Now, I hear what you're saying. Hang on a minute. The first 2 managers are both the same managers that they've already got. There will be other managers. There'll be new managers. There'll be new options. Stay with me. But Aston Villa, they have the perfect manager right now. Although, you might get annoyed with me, Villa fans. Listen to this. Because, first of all, the job Emery is doing for Villa is very commendable. Okay? He's only been in the job since October, and the turnaround's been really, really pleasing if you're a Villa fan. The tactics seem to suit the players. It's effective. It's getting the maximum out of the most of them, which is what you're always after. I think what he's done with Douglas Luiz and Ollie Watkins is particularly pleasing, and you can begin to see the long-term plan with him in charge. He's also an excellent cup manager, so that's perfect for Aston Villa in terms of trying to get some silverware along the way. And it could be something that they could achieve next season. And who better than Unai Emery to sort of achieve that next stage? Here's the one thing, though. When we're talking about perfect, is he perfect because he has a ceiling when it comes to sort of top 4 contention? Because his sides usually finish around the 7th position mark. So it comes down to kind of ambition, really. He's perfect for right now, no doubt. But could there ever come a time where Aston Villa fans will get sick of finishing 7th? We've kind of seen it in the past. They've had to go the long way round, and probably you've learnt your lesson. But you've got a manager who generally doesn't get to that level. So is he still perfect? Let me know. It's not a dig, it's a question before you get angry. Bournemouth. Oh, I just love saying it like that. Bournemouth. Michael Carrick. Carrick is quietly going under the radar, sort of. I mean, he's a hot name, isn't he? But he is going under the radar outside of the Championship, I think, for his work at Middlesbrough. And he's doing an excellent job in terms of maximising the attack and creating an effective style of play. Borough can't stop scoring under Carrick. And if Bournemouth were to go down or even to stay up, they could create an excellent sort of project under Carrick. And the football would be very attractive from what we've seen and entertaining. And it would be very similar, I think, to those Eddie Howe days, but with someone who's got some great contacts as well. Brentford, this was a tough one to go against the grain of Thomas Frank. I think he is perfect, but I think if he is ambitious, he will, rightly or wrongly, make the leap. Because I think one of those big teams will possibly come and get him, possibly gobble him up. And thus, it might be time to sort of make that sort of tweak and change just to keep it fresh. I know it's probably not a popular opinion, and that's fine. That sort of goes to what a great job Thomas Frank's done, and he has been perfect. Probably will be for the foreseeable, but maybe it's one where you're at that ceiling with him, you go for a new guy. And just to put forward some new bloody names, do you know what I mean? Per Matthias Hogmo. That's right. Per Matthias Hogmo. Because we've gone for the niche that is Brentford, because that's what they do, right? Hogmo won't be a name familiar to many, but the job that he's done at Häcken, Hacken, in the Swedish league is pretty impressive, right? So he took them from a 12th place finish to winning the title the following year, and he also plays a system that's pretty similar to Thomas Frank in the sense that possession isn't a must, and it's about being effective, which I know the Brentford hierarchy like. Hogmo lines up well with what Brentford are about, and he wouldn't be too radical a change if they had to make that move. I wouldn't be surprised if he was already on their list if Frank does leave, because I think Frank's stock has gone through the roof. Do you know where I'm getting at with this? I understand if you disagree. Brighton, Niko Kovac. I mean, with how well De Zerbi is doing at Brighton, it may be difficult to keep a hold of him. So again, it's good to give you guys some options to keep an eye out for, especially if Spurs start to look at him. I think he is hot property right now, isn't he? Obviously, because they've gone up another level this year. Kovac is currently doing a very good job at Wolfsburg. He has them fighting for the top 4 in the Bundesliga. They play an attacking style of football. They're averaging 1.8 goals per game, and they use a 4-3-3 with wingers doing the bulk of the attacking, which is not too dissimilar to Brighton and how they play now as well. So I think it would be a smooth transition. It would work well, in my opinion. Brighton are on a constant rise, but it could mean that they get noticed a bit more, and it could mean that a De Zerbi exit is inevitable. And so it's nice to have some options. Chelsea, Carlo Ancelotti. Yep. Carlo Ancelotti to return. He's time and again displayed that he doesn't need specific players to play a certain style and consistently adapts to what he has in his squad. And especially with great players, he does that really, really well. Tactically, he's exceptional in this sense as he doesn't have a set formation that he prefers. He could come into Chelsea now. He wouldn't need any radical changes in terms of playing staff because he's got enough players, and he would be able to get a tune out of the current crop. That's important because with all the spending that Chelsea have done so far, it's hard to see them being able to replicate that kind of spending in the summer. Lastly, Ancelotti knows his way around the Champions League, and that has to be important for a club like Chelsea, who are starting to build a real pedigree in European competitions with so many trophies in those competitions. Crystal Palace, Ruben Amorim. It's punchy. Some fans will be going, no way, but for Palace it would be perfect. Premier League teams have shown that they have pulling power no matter where they sit in the league. Unai Emery at Villa, Lopetegui at Wolves, Ancelotti at Everton are all prime examples. This is why Ruben Amorim for Palace makes a lot of sense and would be a dream appointment for them. His teams play with a directness and attacking speed, and that hugely sits with the current crop of players at Palace. And after that game against Arsenal, I think he's shown that he can coach sides to be resilient but potent in transition, and that style, I think it lends itself well to English football and Crystal Palace. Everton, Urs Fischer. I think Dyche is doing an exceptional job at the minute, but I still think Everton could do better with the right appointment once safety is guaranteed. It might not even be one where Urs Fischer would be perfect for next season, but I think in time where Everton want to go, he might be a more ambitious fit. It might be a dangerous fit, but it could be a perfect fit. So it's the perfect fit for this video. Urs Fischer is currently doing wonders with Union Berlin in the Bundesliga and has them sitting pretty in third position. The football and style of play is pretty similar to Dyche, with possession not being the key aspect of the tactical approach. But over time, and as a manager of a project, I think Fischer could not only improve Everton over the short term, but also make them contenders for top half again over a few seasons. He's also got that kind of underdog mentality, but maybe a few fresher ideas than Dyche. But again, maybe I'm being harsh on Dyche. Harder than you think. Fulham. Marco Silva, I just don't think there's a better fit for Fulham right now over Marco Silva. He has Fulham operating at the peak of their powers, and it's something that I think Fulham fans need to remember, right? Because no one saw them staying up. I say it time and again. He is an excellent fit in terms of style of play. It's enjoyable to watch. His passion and his connection, I think, with the fans as well. I also really rate how he sticks to his guns, and he has his team playing in a fearless way regardless of their opponents. I think that's a huge part of the success this year. With Fulham where they are in the league, there is absolutely no need to change it. Also, his time at Everton may help Fulham and put bigger clubs off trying to poach him. His reputation has taken a bit of a battering over the years at different times, and so I think that may allow him to sort of go under the radar a little bit and allow him to just stay and build at Fulham, because they got bunts as well. Leeds United, Peter Bosz. La Bosz. Bosz. Let's have it again. A very good CV over the last few seasons, having managed Lyon, Leverkusen, Dortmund and Ajax. And whilst these jobs all didn't pan out perfectly, he still has the qualities of an excellent manager. And I think Leeds, they could see the best of him. You know, his time at Bayer Leverkusen has to be a huge draw. He took Leverkusen to the Champions League in his first season and usually makes a big impact as soon as he arrives. He also plays a very attractive style of attacking football, which could help keep the promising attackers that Leeds have at the club and that they've sort of recruited for. I think it would allow them to develop. Leicester City, Lucien Favre. Favre, for the most part, has held a high stock in Europe, but was sacked in January of this year by Nice after an early cup exit. That may have been a bit harsh, though, and tactically he's an excellent coach that has a lot to offer sides with technical players, and I think Leicester would be the perfect fit for him. He did wonders in charge of Borussia Mönchengladbach. Leicester also need to freshen things up, and I think they need a new manager with a new way of thinking, either that or heavy recruitment, and in Favre, they would get that. Okay. Here we go. It's Liverpool. Klopp's great, okay? But at the top level, when you want to keep doing well, it can be that little bit more ruthless. So I'm going to put forward an option, okay? Is Klopp perfect? Maybe. Let me know in the comments down below. I'm intrigued. But could someone else be perfect as well? And fit the identity and the culture that Klopp has created, but maybe it's just time for that change. Do you know what I mean? We will see next year how they get on. I think Klopp's got time, okay? I think he's wonderful. I think he's elite. But Julian Nagelsmann, this could be one of the only step-ups that you could get from Klopp, especially, again, when it comes to cultural fit. Because when Klopp leaves, it's going to be an impossible job for the next manager, unless his name is Julian Nagelsmann. Now, I know that he's at Bayern Munich, but you have to remember this is the dream perfect appointment for each club, okay? So don't worry about if he would come, okay? And look, the Premier League is the place to be. So Nagelsmann is tactically excellent and has used a variety of different tactical systems and approaches at Bayern. He's also not afraid to make changes to players and their roles, which I like, as it shows that he's got that kind of gut conviction about him. He's also extremely charismatic, which I think is something that I think a Liverpool manager needs. Is his dress sense up to it? Not in my opinion. And that is the only stay. But he's a wonderful manager, and he has that, that youth that he could go there and stay for a long time as well. So look, Klopp has that energy. Klopp is God. I get it. But I'm just putting forward another option. Same goes to Man City. We know Pep Guardiola is a wonderful manager, but Luciano Spalletti could be another option. Okay, now, because there aren't many managers that could come into City right now and do what Pep does, but Spalletti is one of them. His Napoli side are tearing up Serie A this season and doing it in style as well. A style not too far away to what Manchester City players are used to under Pep. Spalletti's sides play a possession-based game in what is usually a 4-3-3, and they focus their attacks down the flanks with a classic number 9 in the middle. Sound familiar? He might also be able to tempt Kvaratskhelia to join him. Oh, now you're listening. Manchester United, Erik Ten Hag, I can't move away from him. There's absolutely no need for Man United to change their manager. It's been a while since that was the case, but I think that is the case under Ten Hag. They've not only improved the quality of football, they've got the best out of the individuals that they already have, and they're creating a winning mentality. He's only been there a minute as well, so I think from that point of view, it's not getting stale at all. He's only at the start of his tenure at Man United, and it's going to be a very interesting time for Man United to see what they become after a few more transfer windows, which we've done a video on, and you can watch right now. At the end of this video, though, imagine what they'd look like in 2025. Wow, I'd love to watch that. Another fan base I'm about to anger, Newcastle United. I'm going to go for a different manager, okay? Because I think, let's be honest, yes, he's exceeded every expectation, but Eddie Howe was brought in for this juncture. Can he take Newcastle to the next level? I believe he can, by the way, but is he perfect? I think that's up for debate. Just because he hasn't done it before. I hope he does. I really, really hope he does. And, imagine sacking him for a new manager now. Don't do it. Obviously. Give the boy time. Because there are not many managers that will be an upgrade on Eddie Howe for Newcastle. But Diego Simeone could be really, really good fun. Really, really good fun. And if they got someone like Simeone, that would be, first of all, a stunning acquisition. What a character you have there. What an engagement you would have with the fans. Obviously, off the back of the heartbreak of Eddie Howe, I get that. But Eddie Howe has already implemented the Atletico ways into this Newcastle team, and Simeone could take it to the next level. His presence could cement Newcastle at the top table of English football, much like he did with Atletico, a team that people don't expect to be there, but he didn't care, and he found a way. He would be also a perfect fit with the fans, as I've said, but he's got that passion, and his teams echo this on the pitch. But I trust in Eddie. It's just a bit of fun. Nottingham Forest, again, Cooper, they love him. But just to put forward another option that could be perfect, Karel Gerrards. The football nerds will know how good a manager this guy is. He's been at Union Saint-Gilloise since the summer, but was the assistant manager when they won the league and has carried on their excellent form this season, with the side currently battling out at the top of the table and also putting an unbelievably impressive run in the Europa League together, beating Union Berlin in the process. His side plays a 3-5-2, with the midfielders having a lot of involvement in chance creation, and that could be suited to how Forest play with their split strikers at present. Gerrards is averaging a stunning 2.16 points per match at USG. He's also operating on a tight budget, which is handy because I don't think Forest are going to be spending as big and as frequent again in the summer, which I might be wrong, and actually it's a question I'm interested. Forest fans, do you think you'll spend just as big this summer? I'd imagine you wouldn't. Let me know. Southampton, Alfred Schroeder. Despite being shacked by Ajax this season, Schroeder's I've done it again, haven't I? He's done it! Schroeder's stock is still quite high, and in hindsight, it may actually be the higher-ups at Ajax who are the real problem as they continue to struggle and voice their displeasures to Edwin van der Sar. Schroeder would be an intelligent option for Southampton as they'd be able to create an identity and philosophy for themselves, and I think it would go a long way in establishing a long-term plan, which is something that I don't think they have at the minute. 3 managers this year would suggest that. Tottenham Hotspur, Mauricio Pochettino. It's not always a good idea going back to an ex, but in this case, I think it is. I think it definitely is. Conte's brash style is not right with Spurs, and the players simply aren't responding, and he's probably gone by the time I've recorded this. Poch would bring in a calmness, but also just a friendlier approach. He's just a nicer bloke, and I think that matters here. He's also much more flexible tactically, and this is something that I think Spurs need desperately, because it feels like they're getting complacent. They are stale as anything. Stale not just because of Conte, but because of Nuno and because of Mourinho and because of just the lethargy and the lack of attacking exuberance. Poch's problem at Spurs was that he was never truly backed. But if Spurs want him back, he may get what he wants in the window, and Spurs could become great again. West Ham, Eddie Howe, he's back. That's it. He's just got the sack from Newcastle because they've gone with Diego Simeone, and now he's gone to West Ham. He would be perfect. They feel pretty stale themselves, actually, under David Moyes, and the whole thing feels like it's run its course a little bit. I think a new, younger face, certainly younger than David Moyes, but with the experience that Eddie Howe's got, would be perfect for West Ham. West Ham fans would be absolutely delighted. He would be able to rebuild with, I think, a trust from the fans because of what he's done at Newcastle and other teams. You know he's a smart guy. It would allow them, I think, to regain European spots that they've achieved over the last couple of seasons with a better style of football. West Ham also have a bit of money to spend and are somewhat ambitious in the market. I'd love to see what Eddie Howe would do with Paqueta and Bowen in particular, especially with the confidence that he has given Almiron this season. Wolves, Arne Slot. I like Lopetegui. I think he's a really, really good fit for Wolves, but Arne Slot would be so good for them. He currently has final top of the league and is bossing it over Ajax and PSV. His side also play a dynamic system with 2 attacking 8s and is incredibly progressive in how they approach games from a tactical perspective. The most important thing here is that his side score goals. They aren't, and they aren't defensively weak either. You know, Feyenoord have just dispatched Shakhtar in the Europa League by 7-1. I think it demonstrates the capacity that he has for creating smart attacking sides. And I think that's something that Wolves fans, despite really enjoying Lopetegui and seeing more attacking verve from them, they would still love, in a perfect world, to have a manager that just has a team that scores lots of goals. I mean, who doesn't? These 2 heat maps show exactly why Southampton were able to cause Antonio Conte to literally melt down. The Premier League continues to give us some serious juice despite the partial fixture list, and it's brilliant to see. You always can rely on the Barclays. There was complete chaos across the fixtures this week, and we're going to dig right into it and see what the chaos means for your club. And even if it isn't your club, that could affect your club.